What if I told you that the life you're living right now is shaped by the thoughts you had yesterday, and who you'll become tomorrow depends on what you think today? This isn't just an idea, it's a truth that's been taught for thousands of years in Buddhism. Your mind creates your reality. If your thoughts are full of fear and doubt, that's the life you'll live. But if you fill your mind with clarity, purpose, and peace, everything changes. In this video, you'll discover how to take control of your thoughts and shape the future you want, starting now. The mind as the architect of reality. For as long as we can remember, great teachers have said the same thing. The life we experience is a reflection of our mind. Buddha explained it with amazing clarity. We are what we think. Everything we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we create the world. At first, it seems simple, but when you really think about it, it's a powerful truth that can change everything. Imagine your mind as a garden. If you plant seeds of kindness, compassion, and gratitude, what grows is peace and happiness. But if you let weeds take over, anger, resentment, fear, your life fills with suffering. The mind doesn't just reflect the world around us, it creates it. Every thought is like a seed. What you choose to plant is what you're going to harvest. And modern science backs this up. Thanks to something called neuroplasticity, we know that our brain changes based on how we think. Positive thoughts create new, stronger connections in the brain, which lead to a calmer, happier life. Negative thinking does the opposite. It strengthens the parts of the brain linked to stress, anxiety, and unhappiness. You can see it in everyday life. Two people go through the same situation. One finds a lesson and grows. The other gets stuck in frustration. The difference isn't what happened. It's how each mind chose to see it. So if the mind has that much power, how do we train it to build the life we want? That's where Buddhist wisdom comes in. Through meditation, mindfulness, and learning to let go of what we can't control, we can step back and watch our thoughts without letting them take over. In the next chapter, we'll dive deeper into how our shape, our emotions and actions, and how we can start transforming our life from the inside out. The transformative power of thoughts. Every thought that crosses your mind leaves a mark on the life you're creating. If your mind is filled with fear, constant worry, and self-doubt, the reality you live in will mirror that. But if your thoughts are grounded in clarity, gratitude, and trust, everything around you begins to shift. This isn't about wishful thinking. It's about how the mind shapes your experience of life, moment by moment. Picture this. You wake up in the morning and your first thought is that something's going to go wrong. Maybe you're worried about work or replaying something you said the day before. Those thoughts start to color your entire day. Every little challenge feels heavier. Every interaction feels tense. At the end of the day, you feel exhausted and you tell yourself it was just a bad day. But it wasn't just what happened around you. It was the way your thoughts framed everything. Now imagine the opposite. You start your day with a sense of gratitude. You focus on one simple thing that makes you feel good. You carry that feeling with you into your morning. The traffic doesn't bother you as much. A mistake at work becomes a chance to learn instead of a reason to be frustrated. It's not that your life suddenly became perfect. It's that your thoughts shaped how you experienced it. This is the power thoughts have. They don't just pass through your mind. They create the emotional state you live in and influence every decision you make. The teachings of Buddhism explain that the mind is like a river. If it flows wild and uncontrolled, it can be dangerous and destructive. But if you guide it with awareness, it becomes a source of life, clarity, and peace. Most of the time, people aren't aware of their thoughts. They live on autopilot, repeating the same stories in their heads that they've believed since childhood. Thoughts like, "I'm not good enough, I always fail, life is just hard." These ideas become beliefs, and those beliefs become reality. But what if you stopped and questioned those thoughts? What if you realized they're not absolute truths? This is where meditation comes in. It's not about clearing your mind of thoughts. It's about observing them without getting caught up in them. When you meditate, you learn that thoughts are like clouds drifting across the sky. They come and go, but they aren't you. There are simple Buddhist practices that help you change the way you think. Mindfulness meditation teaches you to stay present and aware. Repeating positive thoughts helps you create new mental habits. Practicing detachment allows you to stop clinging to ideas that don't serve you anymore, and daily gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's already good in your life. Many great teachers and leaders have lived this truth. Buddha himself was born into a life of luxury, but by transforming his mind, he reached enlightenment. Nelson Mandela spent years in prison, but used his thoughts to stay focused on peace and forgiveness. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, but every small shift in your thinking brings you closer to a more meaningful, peaceful life. In the next chapter, we'll look at how negative thoughts create suffering and how to free yourself from their grip. How negative thoughts create suffering. From the moment we wake up, our mind starts running. It reminds us of what happened yesterday. It jumps ahead to what's coming tomorrow, and it fills the space in between with thoughts, most of them, without us even noticing. Some are neutral, others are positive, but a lot of them can be negative, and when we let those negative thoughts run unchecked, they become a constant source of suffering. Think back to the last time something was bothering you. Maybe it was something someone said, or a mistake you made, or something you were afraid might happen. Whatever it was, the situation itself probably lasted only a few minutes, but in your mind it kept playing over and over. The more you thought about it, the heavier it felt. It's like feeding a fire. The more wood you throw on it, the bigger it gets, and that's what happens when we dwell on negative thoughts. They grow until they take over everything. Buddhism teaches that suffering doesn't come from the things that happen to us. It comes from our resistance to what happens. When something upsets us, instead of letting it go, we hold on to it. We analyze it. We replay it. It's like having a wound and scratching at it instead of letting it heal. That's how negative thinking keeps us trapped. The human mind has a natural tendency to focus on the negative. It's something we inherited from our ancestors, who had to stay alert to danger to survive. But today, that same instinct can backfire. If we let our mind constantly focus on what's wrong or what could go wrong, it affects everything. Our stress increases. We lose sleep. We feel tired and drained, and over time that mental habit becomes our default way of living. The good news is we can change this. We can train the mind to stop holding on to negative thoughts before they take control. Mindfulness helps us notice the moment when a harmful thought appears. When we see it clearly, we can let it go instead of getting stuck in it. It's like watching a leaf float by on a river. You don't have to grab it. You just let it pass. One Buddhist monk explained this with a simple image. Imagine you have a glass of clear water. If you stir in some dirt and shake it, the water gets cloudy. But if you set the glass down and leave it alone, the dirt settles and the water becomes clear again. That's how our mind works. If we keep stirring it up with negative thinking, we lose clarity. But if we stop, breathe, and stay still, our mind clears and we see things for what they are. Freeing yourself from suffering doesn't mean you'll never have negative thoughts. It means you learn how to handle them. You stop believing they're facts, you stop letting them define you, and you choose which thoughts deserve your attention. In the next chapter, we'll explore how the practice of mindfulness can help you cultivate a positive mind and build a life of balance and peace. The practice of mindfulness to cultivate a positive mind. From the moment we open our eyes in the morning, our mind is already on the move. We think about everything we need to do, What went wrong yesterday? What could go wrong today? We bounce from one thought to the next without a break, like a restless monkey swinging from branch to branch. And in all that noise, we miss what's happening right in front of us, the present moment. Buddhism teaches that the key to freeing ourselves from this cycle is mindfulness. Mindfulness means being fully present, paying attention to what's happening right now, without judgment, without distraction. It's not about forcing the mind to be blank. It's about training it to be aware of this moment instead of getting lost in the past or the future. Think about how we usually live our days. We eat meals while scrolling on our phones. We walk without noticing where we are. We listen to someone speak while already thinking about how we'll respond. Most of the time, we aren't really here. We're somewhere else. And before we know it, the days pass and we've missed so much. But when we practice mindfulness, even the simplest moments feel different. Drinking a glass of water, feeling the warmth of the sun, hearing the sound of the wind in the trees. These small experiences become richer because we're fully present for them. And just as importantly, we become more aware of our thoughts, so they no longer run the show without us noticing. One of the most effective ways to train mindfulness is through meditation. A lot of people think meditation is about clearing the mind, but it's really about noticing what's there without getting caught up in it. You sit quietly, close your eyes, and focus on your breathing. Almost immediately, thoughts will start popping up. You'll remember something you forgot to do. You'll wonder how much time has passed. That's normal. The practice is in noticing when your mind has wandered and gently bringing it back to the breath. Each time you do this, you're strengthening your ability to stay present. But mindfulness isn't just for meditation. You can practice it anytime, anywhere. When you're eating, focus on the taste and texture of the food. When you're walking, feel each step. Notice the ground beneath your feet. When you're with someone, give them your full attention. No phone, no distractions, just presence. The effects are powerful. Science shows that mindfulness reduces stress, sharpens focus, and increases feelings of well-being. But beyond the science, it changes your relationship with your own mind. You stop reacting automatically to everything. You stop being a prisoner of your emotions. You learn to observe what's happening without needing to control it. One Zen teacher said the mind is like a lake. When the water is stirred up, you can't see anything clearly. But when it's still, everything becomes clear. Mindfulness is what brings that stillness. In the next chapter, we'll look at real-life examples of how people have transformed their lives through mental training. Proof that this isn't just theory, but something anyone can experience for themselves. Practical examples of mental transformation in everyday life. All these ideas about the power of thoughts and mindfulness sound inspiring. But how do they work in real life? How do these teachings help when you're stuck in traffic, dealing with a tough conversation, or feeling overwhelmed by everything going on? That's where the practice becomes real, when it's part of your everyday life, not just something you read about. Take the example of someone having a stressful day at work. Deadlines are piling up, things aren't going as planned, and pressure is building. Normally your thoughts start racing. I'm not good enough. I'll never get this done. This always happens to me. Those thoughts fuel frustration and make the situation feel worse. But with mindfulness, something different can happen. You notice the pattern. You catch yourself thinking those things. You take a deep breath. Instead of feeding the negativity, you focus on one simple action you can take right now. You bring your attention to what's in front of you, and you move forward calmly. It's not that the situation disappears, but the way you experience it changes completely. Or think about an argument with someone close to you. The usual reaction is to defend yourself, to raise your voice, to prove you're right. But when you're mindful, you pause. You feel the anger rising, but you don't act on it. You listen, not just to their words, but to their feelings. You respond with calm instead of reacting with emotion. That moment of awareness can prevent a fight and open a space for understanding instead. Transformation through mindfulness isn't just for the big, dramatic moments. It's in the small things. Eating a meal slowly and tasting every bite. Walking down the street and noticing the color of the sky. These little moments of awareness build up, and over time, they change how you live your life. One of the biggest shifts happens in how we talk to ourselves. Most people live with a harsh inner critic. Thoughts like, "I'm not enough. I always mess things up. Nothing ever works out for me," play on repeat. But when you become aware of those thoughts, you can challenge them. You realize they're not facts, just old patterns that you've been repeating for years. And you can choose to let them go. You can replace them with thoughts that support you instead of hold you back. A simple but powerful practice is gratitude. Each morning, or before you go to sleep, you take a moment to think of 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big things. A quiet moment with your coffee, the sound of birds outside your window, the fact that you got through a tough day. Focusing on gratitude trains your mind to notice what's good instead of constantly searching for what's wrong. The core of Buddhist practice is realizing that you don't have to wait for life to be perfect to feel at peace. Peace comes from within, and the way to find it is through training your mind moment by moment, thought by thought. In the next chapter, we'll explore how meditation helps clear and purify the mind, breaking old patterns and making space for a calmer, more balanced life. The importance of meditation in purifying the mind. Meditation is often seen as something reserved for monks sitting in silence on a mountaintop. But the truth is, it's one of the most practical tools we have for everyday life. It's not just about finding moments of peace or relaxation, though that's part of it. Meditation is about understanding your mind, clearing away the noise, and reconnecting with a deeper sense of clarity and balance. In Buddhism, meditation isn't a ritual. It's a way to purify the mind. Over time, our thoughts accumulate like dust on a window. Old fears, past regrets, judgments about ourselves and others, layer upon layer until we can't see clearly anymore. Meditation is the act of wiping the glass clean. It allows us to see things as they are, not as we imagine or fear them to be. Think about how often your mind gets cluttered. You wake up and immediately start thinking about everything you have to do. Emails to answer, tasks to complete, problems to solve. On top of that, your mind pulls you into the past, mistakes you made, things you wish you had done differently. And then there's the future, full of worry and uncertainty. It never stops. The mind jumps from one thing to another, often without a single moment of stillness. This constant mental activity isn't just exhausting, it clouds your judgment, makes you reactive instead of thoughtful, and pulls you away from the present moment where life is actually happening. Meditation teaches you how to slow all of that down. When you sit quietly and focus on your breathing, you create space. Space between thoughts, space between reactions, space to see yourself and your life with fresh eyes. You realize that the endless chatter in your mind isn't who you are. It's just noise. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes to let that noise settle, like dust sinking to the bottom of a still pond. One of the simplest forms of meditation is breathing meditation. You sit comfortably, close your eyes, and bring your attention to your breath. You don't need to control it, just notice it. Slow, steady. Your mind will wander. That's normal. It's part of the process. Every time you notice your mind drifting, thinking about what's for dinner, remembering a conversation, worrying about tomorrow, you gently bring it back to the breath. No judgment, no frustration, just return. Over time, This act of returning builds a mental muscle. You become more present, more aware. And then something interesting happens. The clarity you find in meditation starts to show up in your daily life. You catch yourself before you react in anger. You notice when your mind starts spinning stories about failure or fear. You become more patient, more kind, and more connected. There's also something deeply healing about meditation. Modern science confirms what Buddhist practitioners have known for centuries. Meditation reduces stress hormones in the body, lowers blood pressure, improves sleep, and boosts your immune system. But beyond the physical benefits, meditation helps heal emotional wounds. It gives you the space to process feelings that you've buried or ignored. It lets you observe your pain without being consumed by it. And you don't need hours every day to experience this. Even 5 or 10 minutes of consistent practice can make a difference. The key is consistency, not perfection. Sitting quietly for a few minutes each day is better than waiting for the perfect time to meditate for an hour and never doing it. In Buddhist practice, there's a saying, if you don't have time to meditate for 10 minutes, then you need to meditate for an hour. It's a reminder that the busier and more chaotic life feels, the more important it is to slow down and clear the mind. Meditation can also be done in movement. Walking meditation is a powerful practice where each step becomes an anchor to the present moment. You walk slowly, feeling each movement of your feet. You become aware of your body, your breath, the ground beneath you. It's a moving meditation that can be done anywhere, in a park, in your home, even on your way to work. For some, chanting or focusing on a mantra becomes a form of meditation. Repeating a word or phrase helps focus the mind and keeps it from wandering. It's another way to create rhythm and stillness in a world full of distractions. Ultimately, meditation isn't about escaping life. It's about engaging with it more fully. A clear mind allows you to experience life with less fear and more openness. It gives you the strength to handle challenges with calm and the wisdom to appreciate the simple, quiet moments. Many people who commit to meditation describe a shift that's hard to explain until you feel it yourself. Life doesn't necessarily get easier, but your way of relating to it changes. You feel less pushed around by circumstances. You're no longer a prisoner of your own thoughts. You stand in the center of your life with clarity and peace, no matter what's happening around you. In the next chapter, we'll hear the stories of people who have transformed their lives by embracing these practices. Real experiences that show it's possible for anyone to change their mind and their life, starting from within. Testimonies of people who have changed their lives through Buddhism. The wisdom of Buddhism has touched millions of lives across centuries, but these aren't just stories from ancient times or distant monasteries. They are real experiences from ordinary people who've used these teachings to bring peace and transformation into their daily lives. Their journeys show that change isn't reserved for the few. It's something we can all experience when we take the time to understand and train our minds. Take Maria's story, for example. For years, she struggled with anxiety. Every day felt like a race against her own fears. She worried constantly about her job, her relationships, her future. Her mind was always spinning, never resting. One day, after a particularly difficult episode, she decided to try meditation. At first, it was frustrating. She couldn't sit still and her mind wouldn't quiet down. But she kept going. Little by little, she started to notice a difference. She became more aware of her thoughts. She realized she didn't have to believe every fearful idea her mind produced. Over time, she found that she could breathe through her anxiety, observe it without being overwhelmed. Today, Maria still has challenges, but she no longer feels controlled by them. She lives with more ease, more presence, and a sense of freedom she never thought possible. Then there's Javier. For most of his life he struggled with anger. The smallest things could set him off. A careless comment, a traffic jam, a disagreement at work. His relationships suffered. He often felt guilty after outbursts, but it seemed impossible to break the cycle. It wasn't until a friend introduced him to mindfulness meditation that things began to change. In meditation, Javier learned to recognize the moment when anger was just beginning to rise. Instead of reacting, he practiced pausing, breathing, observing. At first, it was hard. The habit of reacting was strong, but slowly he noticed he could create space between the feeling and his response. That space made all the difference. Now, Javier approaches situations with more patience. His relationships have improved, and he's found a sense of calm he once thought was out of reach. These stories aren't rare. Around the world, people are using Buddhist practices to overcome stress, fear, and emotional pain. Some find relief from depression, others heal from trauma. Many simply learn to live with more joy and awareness. It doesn't require a special talent or a perfect life. It just requires the willingness to look inward and practice. There's Daniel, a man who spent most of his life chasing success and material wealth. No matter how much he achieved, it never felt like enough. The constant striving left him empty. Then he discovered Buddhist teachings on impermanence and non-attachment. He realized he had been tying his happiness to things that could never truly satisfy him. Through meditation and reflection, Daniel learned to appreciate what he had, instead of always craving more. He found fulfillment in simplicity, in the quiet moments of life he used to overlook. Or Sarah, who struggled with grief after losing a loved one. For a long time, she felt stuck in sadness and couldn't imagine moving forward. A meditation group introduced her to the Buddhist idea of embracing suffering with compassion. She learned to sit with her pain instead of resisting it. Slowly, the heavy weight of grief softened. She found peace not by forgetting her loss, but by holding it gently and allowing herself to heal in her own time. These are just a few examples, but they show something important. The mind can change. No matter how stuck we feel, no matter how deep our pain runs, there's always a path forward. Buddhist practice isn't about escaping life's challenges. It's about facing them with a clear mind and an open heart. And it's not about becoming someone else. It's about discovering who you are when you let go of all the mental clutter and confusion. Beneath the fear, anger and doubt, there is clarity, there is peace, and that peace is available to anyone willing to practice. In the next chapter, we'll explore practical tips you can use every day to keep your mind clear, your heart open, and your life moving in a positive direction. Tips to maintain a pure mind and a fulfilling life. Changing the way we think doesn't happen in a day. It takes time, patience, and steady practice. But the good news is, even small mindful steps can deeply improve how we experience life. A peaceful mind doesn't come from avoiding problems or pretending life is perfect. It comes from learning how to respond to situations with wisdom, not just reacting. And the more we practice, the more natural it becomes. One of the best habits you can build is starting your day with intention. Instead of rushing into your morning, pause for a few quiet moments. Take a deep breath and set a purpose for your day. It could be something simple, like staying calm, being kind, or noticing the little things. How we begin our morning often shapes the rest of the day. If we start with calm and awareness, we carry that energy with us. Another powerful habit is gratitude. Our minds often focus on what's missing or what went wrong. But when we choose to notice what's good, even the small things like a kind word, a peaceful moment, or the warmth of the sun, our whole outlook shifts. A simple way to do this is by thinking of 3 things you're grateful for before going to sleep each night. Over time, These habits help rewire the brain to focus more on the positive, rather than getting stuck in negative thoughts. What we feed our mind is just as important as how we treat our body. The things we read, the shows we watch, the conversations we join, these all shape our mental state. If we constantly take in negativity through the news, social media, or toxic interactions, our mind begins to absorb that energy. That's why protecting our mental space is so important. Just like we're careful about what we eat for our health, we should also be mindful of what we allow into our minds. Letting go of things we can't control is another powerful practice. Many times we suffer because we resist what's happening. We wish things were different. But some things are simply out of our hands. Instead of using up our energy in frustration or stress, we can choose acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means we stop fighting reality and start flowing with life rather than constantly pushing against it. Meditation is still one of the most effective ways to clear the mind. It doesn't require long hours. Just 5 to 10 minutes a day can help. What matters most is doing it regularly. Like exercising builds physical strength, meditation builds mental strength. It creates space between your thoughts and your reactions, helping you stay calm and balanced in everyday life. And finally, the people we spend time with deeply affect our mindset. Their energy, attitudes, and words influence how we think and feel. Being around people who uplift, inspire, and support our growth is one of the most powerful choices we can make for our well-being. But just as important is the energy we bring into our relationships. When we show kindness, listen with presence, and genuinely care for others, we not only nurture them, we strengthen our own sense of peace and connection. Another key practice is self-awareness. It begins with noticing our inner dialogue, the way we speak to ourselves, the beliefs we carry, and the stories we've told ourselves for years without question. Many of these stories are rooted in limitation or fear, but when we become aware of them, we gain the power to rewrite them. We begin to see that we are not defined by past mistakes, doubts, or insecurities. Beneath all of that lies something steady, strong, and unshakable. Creating time for silence and reflection is essential in today's noisy world. With so many distractions pulling at our attention, even a few moments of quiet can help us reset. It could be sitting in nature, writing in a journal, or simply pausing for a deep breath between tasks. These small pauses help clear the mental clutter and reconnect us to the present. Having a pure and calm mind doesn't mean we never feel stress, sadness, or anger. It means we learn to move through those emotions with awareness, without letting them control us. It's not about suppressing what we feel, but about meeting each emotion with clarity, compassion, and balance. It's about choosing where we place our attention, what we feed our mind, and how we show up in the world. Every thought, every choice, every moment of awareness is a step toward a more meaningful life. This journey isn't about perfection, it's about commitment. Each time you return to the practice, you strengthen your mind, soften your heart, and create a life rooted in clarity and peace. If these ideas resonate with you, consider subscribing to the channel for more content that nurtures your mind and spirit. Let me know in the comments, which practice are you inspired to bring into your daily life? Your path to inner peace and mental clarity begins now. One breath, one choice, one moment at a time.